Good day. Today I will be showing you how to make your own ceramic pipe. It's quite simple. All you need is about a pound of clay, a few various tools, nothing much, a little bit of slip, and just the basic knowledge for how to work with ceramics. You should be able to follow along with me. It's pretty simple. So I hope you enjoy. Be sure to stay tuned till the end, of course. So first we're going to start out with wedging our clay. So we're just getting out the air bubbles so no explosions occur, because if there's air trapped in the clay when it's in the kiln, it will explode. So first just break off a bit of clay, nothing much. And then what we're going to start doing is rolling it into a ball to create that shaft part of the pipe. And of course if you have a coil extruder, be much easier. I would assume most people though, they're just going to be working on a table. So when I'm making this, I don't want it too thick, I don't want it too thin. Just kind of depends on what you're looking for. You can do all types of things with them. So I'm just going to rip that off, just twist it right off. You just a little more, fine tune it right here once you have that size you want. Get the thickness perfect. So I think I'm gonna just cut this end off right here. So right there we have a hole. That's nice. That's a good way to start out. So this is gonna be the end that's gonna attach to the bowl right here. We're gonna create the bowl in just a minute. So I'm just gonna finish this other end off and get it a little more tapered down so it's not quite as thick. Maybe a little better for the lips to smoke from it. So I'm just gonna taper that down just a little more. And then you'll want your sponges with you, of course. Just kinda spin that in there to smooth it out a bit. So I'm gonna grab my carving tool and just start kind of digging right in there, trying to keep even on all sides of the outside of the pipe, well, the shaft that we're making into a pipe. So we're just going to keep getting clay out of there. You can also kind of just pull it out if you want. There's many ways to do this, and with your thickness, that's up to you. Just remember, the thicker it is, the longer it's going to take to dry. And so a good way to measure how far you are, I'm probably only like right there, but if you just if you just put your finger right on a point and leave it there and then go to the outside, I can see, yeah, I'm only right there. So still need to keep going, and then you can measure, I want to go that far, let's see where that will take me. Alright, I need to go a little further, so let's just measure from this side. I want to go right there, so let's just keep digging until I get to there. Start screwing it in, kind of. That clay out, maybe go one more pass doing that way, and then we're just going to go back to carving it out. I'm feeling it's nice and hollow, so I don't think I'm going to do much more here. And then what I like to do is I like to go back over it and kind of just smooth out the inside. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, just wrap it right around my finger. It's perfect thickness. Just get that smoothed out a little bit, so when the glaze is on it, it's not going in weird crevices and whatnot. Alright, so there's that piece, and we will puncture the hole for this in, well, we can do it right now. The thinner the hole, the less smoke you'll be having at you. So I'm just going to grab this pointed tool, just start spinning it in. Just going to push this tool through. I mean, I would say I wouldn't go over a ½ inch in diameter. Grab our sponge, kind of bundle it up, and then go in there, push it in, spin it around. So you might want to keep this a little bit moist, it might dry out. So with that, my bowl is going to have to be a bit lengthy. So I'm just going to kind of push it down and kind of angle it down. So I want to put it up kind of a little higher because we're going to be cutting off this bottom half. That's why I'm trying to get it like on this nice angle here. Just trying to push the clay in, but not too much. Okay, so now we're just going to get this carving tool and start digging a hole. Decide how big you want your bowl. This is your bowl. What we're going to do is we're going to start carving the sides. Just spinning the tool, it's carving tool. So I'm just going to try and keep carving the sides of the wall to create them. I'm going to kind of angle it up top and make it not so angled down below. And then once I get it to what I'm liking, just make some adjustments, push some clay down so it's not so sharp at the top. And then I'm just going to smooth it out with my fingers. I'm just going to keep smoothing it out a little. So I think that's my bowl, and then I'm just going to grab my sponge here. Once again, kind of put it in there, spin it, just like you did with the shaft. Alright, I mean that's a fat bowl. There's where my shaft is going to go. So I have a little bit of room. And what I was saying is we're going to go to the bottom here, and we're going to start cutting this off and get that as even as possible. I know the metal tool does like to bend. When you're putting pressure, you're going to start indenting the other side. So there's a lot to it. Not too much though. And then I'm just going to wiggle this right off of there. Grab our tool again. Start carving. Try and keep a even thickness all the way around. It's just makes it an ideal piece. The thinner the walls, the lighter it'll be. So you see how I'm just trying to keep that even thickness. I'm trying to remember, okay, there's a bowl here, so let me put that down, let me measure. Okay, you remember how I showed you that trick? Just put your finger there and then try and mark it. So I'm going to use my other tool where my finger's at. Mark a line there. Okay, so I don't want to go anywhere near there, so I'm just going to mark an even bigger line. So when I'm carving up, I can be sure to stay away from that bowl right there. We don't want to mess that up. So let's start carving some more. I feel like I'm close to that bowl. I don't want to push it up or anything, so I'm just going to measure on this tool, see where I'm at, and go to the side. Alright, I'm getting pretty close. Just going to scrape out a little more. Go in there and smooth that out. I'm feeling like I'm really close here. Yeah, I'm going to call that. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get too close. Of course, you can just go to the bowl and start adjusting your thickness just a little. So once we get that all hollow, I'm just going to place the shaft right on top. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start carving around the side. I already did this, but I'm going to do it again. Just carve all the way around the side. Make sure you get a nice lines. Then I'm going to take it off. I'm going to know where I am going to be in. Remember, you got to think about your thickness though. So you gotta kind of draw yourself a line. You might be able to see it if you press hard enough. So just when you're putting the shaft on top of the bowl, just make sure you push it in so you can see the outline where you're going. And see, we're at the bowl mark. This is where my bowl is, so hopefully, yeah, we get it just perfect, so we're not going to run into that. Got to be careful of that. You don't want to be running into your bowl when you're stabbing in there. So I'm just going to get a tool. A nice sharp one's always convenient. Maybe a needle tool. Just carve that out. Just like that. See, there's our bowl. Perfect, perfect. We're nice and close. And I'm just gonna kind of carve out a little more. It doesn't need to be so thick right there. There we go. I think we found home base. So then you can look inside when you're putting them together. But I can look just right in there and I can see where the bowl and the shaft are going to connect. It's going to be really nice connection. So that's the next part, is we're going to want to connect these two parts together. Just like that. I'm going to mark that so I don't lose my spot.
Say you don't want to make your own ceramic pipe. Well, now available on CeramicSmokeWare.com. All you got to do is click on that little circle right there, and you can go check out our bisque-fired ceramic pipes pre-made. All you got to do is glaze them, put them in the kiln, fire them. We even sell stands for them if you want to glaze them all the way around. Simple as that. So let's get back to the video.
So for the slip, I just grabbed some of this clay, put it in water, threw in a little Epsom salt, but you don't need to do that. Just all fancy method. So I'm just gonna kind of put a nice layer, not terribly thick, not thin though. I'm just gonna splotch it all the way around. So once I do that, I'm just gonna grab my whatever, you can use a sharp tool. I'm using a wooden stick. Needle tool will work. And then so you're just going to cross it up one way, clean your tool once you cross up that way. Just do a few scratches the other way. Just call this slip and score. Just putting on our slip. Right here, just putting on our slip. Nothing much. And we're just going to slip, and then now we're scoring. Just going to get that all done. Clean that up, go the other way. Try and make it a Velcro-like connection when you put them together. See, I'm glad I have my mark. I know where I'm going. Marked up right there. So I'm just going to attach the two. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to push this. I'm going to put some pressure. And remember, I can work from the inside. So I can sneak my finger in here. And I can just start sneaking all the way around. Can start pushing them together. Now I'm going to use a tool. You can use a wood tool. It's always convenient. So I'm just kind of pushing up in there. I'm going to have to try and get my pinky, sneak in there and smooth all that out. Feels like we're well connected in there. So other than that, maybe you want to grab your sponge, kind of smooth it out. Make it look like a nice connection. Blend it in. I'm not going to get too fancy with it for you. I'm just going to get a little hole going, and then I'm just going to kind of put my tool in here to get my thickness. People like to use drill bits. I recommend using a drill bit. So you can see it's kind of, there's a little bit stuck inside of there, so I gotta get that out. I'm gonna actually try and push it down a little with the help of my sponge here. Get a little more depth going. Get a nice rolling burn with a deeper bowl. If you load it nice and tight, ooh, that's perfect. I have like pushed it right in. That's nice. There we go. I like that whole size. Once again, as I said, the thicker, the wider the hole, the more airflow you're gonna get. So you're gonna get a lot more smoke coming in. So if you have a huge bowl, you want a little bit bigger of a bowl hole here. Maybe you want to just stick that sponge in there again. So we just put the slip on the bottom, put the slip on the top. Remember on this part, you know, you only have so much to cover on this since the thickness of the walls are not very thick. So be careful not to put too much. Thing about glue, if you put too much, then it's just going to kind of spew out. Once you get that on there, let's get your
your tool to start scoring with. Let's do some deep scores so we can have a nice connection here. Alright, and then just do the bottom piece as well. Alright, now all we gotta do is attach this. Let's see, is that the right way? You wanna double check, you don't wanna put this on backwards. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep this bowl down, and then I'm just gonna start pushing on it. Pushing, not too much pressure. I don't want to break it or anything. Just want to kind of push it down, smooth it up, smooth up the bowl onto this bottom piece that we're reattaching. Really simple. Boom, like that. Just move your finger across the seam to cover it. Really simple. Yeah, do it either way. You need to go down or up. Just get it looking nice. You can get your sponge, start smoothing out everywhere, make it look all pretty. Start carving, maybe you want to do some carving, maybe you even want to add some clay, maybe you want to put some letters, so you just grab some clay, slip and score it on there, and do whatever you want to do, and just make it your own piece, make it you. It's important. I'm not going to go too wild on cleaning this up, just want to make it look decent enough. Hopefully that was what you needed to learn how to make your own pipe. Hopefully you will go to your local studio, maybe you have your own studio, but usually if you just look up ceramic studios, you can go find one, go walk in, just pay for some clay, pay for them to fire your piece. It's really easy stuff, you know, they love that stuff and they'll help you out. Just gotta do the work to figure it out. So I'm just gonna finish up smoothing out the bowl around here. I'm gonna use a big drill bit. You know, usually you'll probably just use your tool, just shove it in there again, but you won't have the bottom on, so I'm gonna cheat, use my drill bit. This is what I use on all my pipes, drill bit. Boom, like that. Nice hole in. It's a little harder to clean though. Just gonna clean up that side. So remember, before you seal off the piece, do your carb hole. Maybe you don't want a carb hole, I understand. Maybe you just want tobacco style, that's great. It seems like most people like a nice big hole. I'd recommend doing it a fairly large size. That's a pretty big one. My thumb fits over it really well, no problem. So lastly, while this needs to dry, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna simply put it in a bag like this. We're just gonna cover it, you know, put it in your bag. Actually leave it cracked open. I won't cover it too well because I do want it to dry pretty quick. It might take a week. I'll probably give it a week and a half, 2 weeks to dry, just like this. Maybe after a week, I'll open it. It's kind of one of those things you gotta play by looking at it, see how dry it looks. So other than that, we are finished with making the actual pipe. So here we are, we have the piece all bisque fired, was fired in the electric kiln at cone 04, which is a little over 1800, 1900 degrees, around there. You always need to glaze the inside of your piece, always. That's why I like making them hollow, and then you can glaze the inside of them. So what you'll want is a pencil to stick in the bowl hole, and that's just going to clog it so it doesn't come pouring out. And I like to use a bulb syringe. You can use any kind of squirt bottle, something that you can just basically get that glaze in there. So I have a clear glaze in here. Just gonna get some in the bulb syringe, some of the clear glaze, and then I'm gonna plug the carb hole with my thumb. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna shoot this right in here, so let's do it. And then I'm just gonna flip it out and open the hole, and then it lets some air in, and then it all comes right out. Nice and simple. So you can see the glaze on the inside. So when you're smoking out of this, it's going to be easy to clean the inside. You just clean it like your glass piece. It'll be nice. Okay, so now that we have our clear glaze in there, I'm going to start applying some layers. I'm just going to brush it on. And you can always choose the option to dip glaze, you can spray glaze, you can do what we're going to do because I think it's the most simple way to glaze. And then you just have a little more control over it. So just try and quickly put a couple layers on all around. And so I'm only going to put 2 layers on the bottom because I don't want it to run all over the place. So I'm just going to be able to check with my nail how thick that is. It's pretty thin. I'm not sure if you can see how thin the glaze is, but just try and be sure you put enough, but not too much. Just be aware, be thinking about it. So 2 to 3 coats on the bottom. And same with the top. Then I'm gonna do the bowl. I'm gonna just do a nice layer. And maybe go back over it just a little more. Make sure you don't put too much in here, because if you put too much, your entire bowl is gonna clog with glaze. So I'm trying to be pretty careful. Basically, just get a thick enough layer that, you know, you won't feel the clay. That's all you need to do. It's pretty easy. So I'm just gonna finish up. Alright, so we have our first coat. I'm just getting this darker color. It's kind of a blackish blue. I'm gonna kind of just plop it on the top. I don't really want to go to the bottom because, like I said, you'll start putting on too much glaze and then it might start running and it might ruin your stands. So just gonna try and get the upper parts. One last thing I'm going to do before we finish up is I'm just going to kind of smooth out the glaze around the holes just enough so I feel comfortable that it's not going to clog. And then we're going to be firing this in the electric kiln, so I'm not too concerned about any problems. My glazes aren't that runny. So hopefully you know your glazes and all will be well. And I'm gonna just clean up this hole a little to widen it. A lot of clear glaze on the inside, so. Alright, so we're ready. We have our stands here. We have our heavy pipe. We're just gonna set those right on there. Wobbling a little. There we go. Looks good. Should do. Alright, so here we are. We have our finished piece, all glazed. Looking nice and shiny. We're just gonna take these stands off from the bottom. You have these little bumps on here. All you need to do is grab a file. You can even use the concrete and just rub it against the concrete. I use a grinder, you can use a Dremel. There's all kinds of things you can use to get these little bumps off. So do whatever works best for you, and that will wrap up our tutorial for making a ceramic pipe. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to subscribe, hit that thumbs up. Would you like to win this piece? If so,
All you need to do is go into the description box below and click on the link titled giveaway. That will take you to the website rafflecopter.com. All you need to do is enter your email address and you'll automatically be entered to win this fantastic piece here. So down below in the description box is another link to a website called Patreon. Patreon is just a place where you can go and support artists with what they do. So on Patreon, I'm just trying to, help build this community of ceramic smokeware, teach others, give them some personal time, give them a little behind the scenes. I encourage you to go check it out. If nothing else, maybe share it. For all those people who want to learn more about ceramics, it would be fantastic for them to check out. So please look at it, and I'll see you next time, and hopefully the Patreon thing goes really well, and we'll find out soon.